Hey folks, it's Bayo, and once again, well, we only have the best matches here, and it is Maru versus Rogue. ASUS ROG Grand Finals. That's a match that we've all been waiting for, to say the least. Now, of course, before we get into this one, before we introduce our players, do all that, I'd like to remind you all to like, comment, subscribe, do all that. It really helps us out, helps us keep providing content like this. So make sure to go do that one. Make YouTube love us. All that fun stuff. But, you know, now that we got that one out of the way, well, let's introduce our players. Spawning in the bottom left, in the red, he is, for Team NV, Maru. And his opponent in the upper right, in the blue, having never lost an offline best of 7, he is the Zerg player, Rogue. Now, we should be mindful of the fact that, well, Rogue has never lost an offline best of 7. This is not an online, or this is not an offline tournament. And look at this. So yeah, Rogue just very worried about any sort of 2-Rex play coming on in game number 1 from the Korean Terran. I mean, we have drone scouts out, we have overlords on the map. Rogue says, look, okay, it's 2,000 atmospheres. There's some rather scary 2-Rex locations that are pretty difficult for me to cover with my overlords and still make sure that I get the rest of the scouting that I'm looking for. So it's going to be a drone out. Yeah, it's going to be a minor inefficiency, but what's a minor inefficiency compared to, you know, getting knocked out of that game? So yeah, his mining's going to be a little bit behind, but that's fine. He's going to be in a good spot because, you know, in all honesty, yeah, is this map a romanticide? Is this map a, I don't know, a death aura? No, not really, but it's still one of the larger maps we have. One of the more standard maps we have. So it's one of those, but you can kind of afford to take minor economic inefficiencies in the early game. And you probably won't get punished for it all that hard. It's not like for Beckett, for example, where, well, timing hits so quickly that, yeah, maybe actually having that drone scout out early, maybe that will make a difference in the way you're playing the game. Make a difference in whether you're able to defend some sort of crazy shenanigans or not. But, you know, this is just a standard game as Maru does move on out, tries to find some value with this Reaper. Now, notice it's only 4 lings. I mean, that shouldn't surprise anyone at this point. Well, actually, I'm sorry. This is 6 lings here. And, yeah, this is kind of atypical. We've started to see Zerg players do this a little bit more against Terran players when they share a server, and it's a Terran player really known for their Reaper micro. So Clem versus Cyril on EU, we saw that. DreamHack Masters Europe, now we're seeing Rogue do this against Maru as well, and it's just a level of respect, right? You get 6 lings, you kind of don't expect to lose anything. You get 4, you expect to maybe lose 1 or 2 lings, but the big deal is to make sure that you don't lose that first creep tumor. Our players like Maru and Clem are so damn good at sitting there on the edge of creep and really just denying the creep with the creep tumor. So Rogue's going to be fine with that. His creep is going to be able to be developed as he wants, and, well, the game is going to go on. Now, we saw Maru go 2-1-1, well, like a more modernized 2-1-1, right? It did have the 3rd medevac coming on, reinforcing quicker, but we saw him do a big 2-1-1 build 3 times in a row against Cyril, and he won 3 times in a row. Although, that being said, outside of the 3rd game, it really didn't feel like it was the 2-1-1 that won him the game. It was mid and late game prowess. I mean, 3rd one, Cyril kind of got caught off guard a little bit. He never was able to drone up, and there's that. We kind of see that here in this game from Maru, as well as apparently this is just the way he thinks is the best way to play the meta right now. I mean, we talked a little bit about whether this is a way that Maru wants to play the game against particular players, well, like he thinks Cyril is weak to it, or whether this is just how he thinks TVZ is best played right now. And while seeing him do this to Rogue in game number 1, gives us a little bit of an idea that maybe this is just how he wants to play TVZ right now. Now, of course, we do see Rogue reacting. The speed's at 4 minutes, delayed, of course, intentionally, so you get extra workers. He really hasn't built anything on top of those 6 initial lings. So yeah, we have minor inefficiencies early on with the drones, with the drone scout, and getting 6 lings instead of 4. But now he's able to get something done with it. Now he's able to just drone because he knows he's safe. And yeah, the 5-minute mark, he's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable, but, well, he's already going to be ready for that. He should be at the very least. He saw the amount of Marines that were on the map, and he's seen the lack of Hellions. So we're going to see a layer on the way. There we go. More and more lings are underway. And hey, you know what? There's a Baneling Nest underway as well. So Baneling Nest should finish right around the time that this first 2 medevacs find their way onto the other side of the field. And we're going to have to see how much damage Maru is able to get done with it. Because remember, in his series against Cyril, it was not the first 2 medevacs that were finding value. Not really. Yeah, maybe they killed off some lings, but the queens didn't really die. We didn't see him really even curtail the creep all that much. It was that 3rd medevac, and then just kind of the continued pressure as he just had more Marines than Zerg players are used to dealing with in the early game that really caused problems. We're going to have to see what that's possible here. And already, I mean, he's going to get 3 creep tumors, especially active ones. That's always going to be very nice. And, well, I mean, the nice part about this map right here is you have a really easy way to go on to kind of ping pong between the main and this 3rd base location that Rogue is really easily defending. And you know what? Yeah, there we go. So Maru's now going to jump on into the main base here. And I do like this. His lings are just not really in position. So Maru's going to get a full unload. And this is what you got to be careful of if you're a Zerg player looking to defend against this 2-1-1. They can kind of put themselves in a corner like that as the Queen's already going to get immediately going to get sniped on down. They can kind of put themselves in the corner. And of course, with combat shields, with stim, they're going to trade very well against all of the Zerglings that find their way. But oh, I love this move from Rogue here. 1 medevac goes down immediately. And so immediately, so much pressure from Maru that he had on the map. Well, it's just not really there. It's now 2 medevacs, and there's a Widow Mine, which does make it a little bit difficult for Rogue to engage. But with all those queens being there at the front, I mean, it's only 2 medevacs. It's not that 3 medevac snowball that we're looking for. So Zerglings are going to get on top of things. Widow Mine shot is going to try to target fire, and it's going to be a decent shot. But it's not really going to be all that much, and drones are not going to go down. So yeah. Having these 2 medevacs behind the mineral line of Rogue is going to work to pin Rogue down just a little bit. But he's pretty happy about this. He's got his 4th base underway. And that's going to actually, that is done before the 3rd base of Maru is complete. He's got his Spire. Well, it's getting started here. 1-1, yeah, it's a little bit behind Maru, but, well, he went Spire play, so that should be expected here. And I love the ling spreads. I mean, we got, what is that, 20, 30 lings in the main base, another 20, 30 in the natural, and then queens out front. It's going to be very difficult for the time being for Maru to really get too much damage done. Because again, lings are just going to be always in location and making it difficult for Maru to unload. And this buys Rogue the time he needs to get up to, you know, 70, 75 workers. And most importantly, he buys him the time that he's looking for to make sure that he gets his Spire up. Because once the mutas are out, well, this massive drop pressure that Maru is looking for, it's not really going to be there as much. But I like what Maru is doing here. He's putting a lot of pressure here on the left side of the map, which is forcing all of these lings that Rogue has that are just kind of in these fantastic drop defense positions. He's kind of forced them out of the way, which now means that, well, that's actually going to be a great job there for Maru, going to get like 10, 15 lings. It forces the lings out of position, which means the drop can unload, which means value can be found. As we saw there, 2 workers went down, 10, 15 lings did go down. And this is right. Well, the whole goal right now is just forcing Rogue to multitask, forcing him out of position just a little bit, or forcing him to maybe get out of position, right? But now 12 mutas are underway. Yeah, there's going to be a 1-1 versus 0-0 timing. That's not the easiest thing to deal with, but I mean, Baneling speed is done. Rogue should be mostly fine. That being said, not a lot of Banelings on the map right now. I think the first 6, yeah, there's only 6 in production, none on the map right now. So, well, that's something, but again, Maru, he's not really at that stage of the game where he's looking to attack in with a big army all at once, right? It's all about harassment at this point, all about just knocking off queens. Does I want to say 3 queens have gone down? Okay, 2 queens have gone down at this point. And again, any queen that goes down, that's less production, that's less creep spread, that's less map control, all that. But now the mutas are going to find their way on in. The Marines are going to stem on top, and that's, I think, 1 dead muta maybe, but it's going to be 1 dead muta for 2 tanks, 6 Marines, and then maybe a lot more damage here. But now we're going to see a drop on into the main base. What is happening with that one? There's actually not a lot here. Not yet. So lings are going to be able to find their way in. But this is, again, it's 2 medevacs here. It's going to take a little bit time to clean this one up. But 2 medevacs are going to die the other side of the map. And it looks like mutas are just wreaking havoc here. In game number 1, 20 workers will go down. We've seen the tanks die. We've seen Marines die as they look to float on in. The rally is just not proving to be enough here. Right now, Zerglings is going to look to flood on in, which will allow, in part, these mutas to really take this fight, because the Marines, they can only shoot 1 thing at any given time, and that's, well, it's not going to be enough here. So the 4th base is absolutely going to get target fired on down. Another tank is going to go down, and Rogue is starting to swarm on in. The lings are on top of the wall, and GG Rogue. He takes game number 1. Okay, so game number 1, Maru just really didn't get the value that he was looking for with that 2-1-1. And unlike the series against Cyril, he wasn't able to just generate enough tempo that kept Rogue back. And part of this, honestly, was the Mutatech. We saw Cyril going just like Purling Bane into maybe Hydra Lurker eventually. And that's a style that can be really good against just these really big Terran aggressive pushes, right? Just get a lot of Lings, a lot of Banes, you sweep them from the map. That's not quite as effective at dealing with just heavy harassment drop play. Yeah, you got a lot of Lings, you got a lot of Banes, and that's going to work for you for the most part. But when we look at games like that, you got to be in perfect position the entire time. You got to be ready to deal with drops. You got to make sure your Lings are under the drops before that happens. And it's just a really delicate balancing act, as of course the Terran is going to be relying on having maybe a little bit more information than the Zerg is, which will allow them to, say, put 3 medevacs instead of 2 in an unexpected place. And then maybe that allows the drop to actually get off, damage starts to happen, damage starts to snowball, the Zerg starts to trade more poorly, and then, well, the game snowballs. But by going mutas there, by maybe sacrificing upgrades a little bit, but again, getting those mutas, allowing for the counterpunch a lot easier. And theoretically, I mean, it didn't happen in that game. No drops were killed by the mutas, but by having that counter pressure, it was forcing Maru to do more than just sit there and get damage done, get damage done, get damage done. So now we're going to have to see what's going to happen off of these two builds, as they're both rather atypical. It was a pull first here for Rogue, as again, it just seems like he's really worried about that 2-rack play. But also, when you go pull first in a map like this, you are able to run your Zerglings across the map, maybe find some value. And in fact, I believe, what was this, a 15 pool? There is room now for the Lings to go in the north route, as they're going to do right now, avoid the Reaper, and then find their way on into the natural and knock that one down before anything happens. That being said, this is a Reaperless opening. Maru has gone for reactor first into command center, so he's going to have 2 Marines out at a time. And this is, well, yes and no. On the one hand, you will eventually have enough to deal with this. On the flip side, I mean, you're not going to run into it on the middle of the map, so these 2 Marines will eventually be able to deal with things, but not just yet. And there's actually no wall here, so the SCV is going to be pulled on off. It's going to go down eventually, but not for a while. And then we're going to have 5 Zerglings on into the main base. How many workers will go down is the question, because of course the goal here, the Marines, they don't want to die. If they die, it's going to be an even bigger problem. But if they're able to sit behind the buffer of a couple SCVs and make life a little bit difficult, that's more realistic. So they're going to be fine now, as it's only, well, now it's only going to be 4 Lings here, with the SCV serving just as a bodyguard. The SCV building the natural did not even go down, so it's 1 dead SCV and a little bit of lost mining time, a little bit delay on the natural for 2 Lings, and a slower natural. Now, that being said, Rogue, he got a really quick third base off that. I think it was like 19 supply, something like that. So he gets his third base finishing right around the time his natural is done, which of course, that's a lot more larva. That provides for more queen opportunity, that provides more creep opportunity. So, you know, coupled with the natural of Maru being delayed a little bit, this should provide Rogue with maybe a little bit of time to redevelop his economy once again, to kind of really just develop himself. And this is interesting. So it will be Hellions off of that, which will of course allow Maru to maybe try to punish the fact that any sort of early pool tends to be a gasless opener. At the very least, it's delayed gas, it's delayed speed. But in Rogue's case here, he is absolutely gasless. He's probably going to get it, I don't know, 54 supply. Actually, well, yeah, we have gas going down right now, so right around 50 supply. And it's this moment where he's going to start to go and actually, you know, develop his tech just a little bit. The question is what? I don't think you go with Zergling speed this late in the game. It's 4 minutes. Zergling speed is often finishing by then. You want something that's going to be a little bit beefier, that gives yourself a little bit more opportunity to defend these pushes from the Terran player. But as I say that, Zergling speed is coming up, and for the moment here, Rogue is just going to focus on A, making sure no drops actually get down, and B, making sure queens are in position. You know, we talk about maybe you want to go something beefier, maybe you get a bunch of roaches. Well, you know, if you got a bunch of queens, they're pretty beefy as well. But now the drop is going to get on out here, and these Zerglings are really not going to be enough. And this is actually going to be a problem here for Rogue, a rather significant one, because the queens are not going to be forced on into the main base just a little bit. 4 more Zerglings. I mean, actually, Rogue is heavily supply blocked here, so this is going to be big problems. The queen will go down. More and more Zerglings looking to run on in, but they're slow. They don't deal with these Marines all that well. Yeah, we're going to see a nice drone drill, but 8 workers, actually only 7 workers will go down. And meanwhile, of course, well, the Hellions in the third base finding value as well. This is actually just causing problems. So now the Hellions will go on down here. That's going to be a little bit of mismicro there for Maru, but now another queen will go down. I want to say that's 2 in this game. And more Zerglings are being forced, and folks, look at the worker count. Rogue is only up 2 workers on his opponent at this point. He has traded so gosh darn well that, yeah, that medevac is a little bit low, but it's just going to sit right on the edge of healing range, and actually it's not even going to try to save things. Okay. Still massive value as the Hellions look to drive on into the third once again. Liberator in the natural, just finding something as 2 more workers go down. So the end of this aggression, it's 3 Hellions, 1 Liberator, 8 Marines, for 9 workers and 26 lings, or I guess 24 lings technically, and 2 queens. Massive trades here for Maru. He's equal on worker supply now. He's not going to go. I mean, this is a big wall. The command center has tons of HP, so really the Zerglings are not going to be able to run in, do commensurate damage. And there we go. Yeah, even the Hellions will get saved. I mean, Rogue, what's he got going for him here? He does have 2 Evo Chambers. He's going to get his 1-1 started right around the same time that Rogue is. Unfortunately, Lambo apparently left the game. That gosh darn lag from previous days going back to bite us here. So unfortunate, but yeah, okay. I was kind of thinking we were going to see roaches here from Rogue in this game just because of how the game opened, because of the tempo. And then he went lings, and you're like, okay, well, maybe he's just going to go into delayed ling bane. Sure, whatever. But now we're going to see Roach Warren underway. And I mean, I guess this is really kind of Rogue's only option right now, because if the game goes late, he's just going to go into the mid game, into the late game from behind. And we all saw the masterclass of late game TVZ that Maru has been showing us in that Serral series. But we also know that Rogue against Maru in the GSL Grand Finals, he did a bunch of 1-1 Roach builds on this map, on a bunch of other maps. That's all. I thought a couple Hellions are going to dive on in. 2 workers go down. Of course, 3 Hellions would one-shot workers. 2 Hellions is going to get something. At the very least, is going to pull workers off gas, going to pull workers off minerals, and, well, force lings around. So, you know, it's non-zero. It's finding value. It's distracting Rogue at the very least. But yeah, Rogue in this matchup on this map, he absolutely slobber knockered Maru in, what was it, GSL Season 1 of this year, just with his 1-1 Roach builds. So he's going to try to do something similar, but you got to remember, in those 1-1 Roach builds, Rogue was not behind, at the very least. I think he was ahead in actually most of those games, if I remember correctly. This is not the case. He's lost 14 workers off an already economically deficient build. So, you know, we're going to have to see whether he's going to be able to get similar value here. Now, roaches are underway, but if you look at this, it's going to be 1-1 ahead for the Terran player. Terran player is even on supply, and when we talk about roaches, one of the big benefits, I mean, you build them fast, and it's really only valid so long as, you know, you got like a 20-odd army supply lead. You want to be massively eclipsing the Terran supply at this point in the game when you're looking to build stuff, when you're looking to hit with that 1-1. So instead, what's Rogue going to do? Well, he's going to play a little bit more of a dark style game. And I really like this style. It's pretty cool. So you say, okay, I'm going 1-1 roaches. Maybe I get some ravagers, but realistically, you're not. You're trying to conserve as much gas as possible. And you know what? Okay, so you go 1-1. You're not trying to hit a big time. You're just playing defensively, much like you would play Roach Ravager into Ling Ultra in early Legacy of the Void. And then, well, you get a quick hive, you get a Hydra Den, and you get quick lurkers. And your lurkers are going to be so much more effective, of course, because they have 2-2, because they have 3-3. So much earlier on compared to the Terran tech. It's a pretty cool idea. It works pretty well if the Terran is not exactly expecting it, and or just if you get in a good position. So now one tank will go on down here. So Roach is looking to take the fight. Now the tanks behind the mineral line are going to cause a problem here, but now Queens are going to find their way on in. Biles are going to try to knock on down, but Rogue really cannot take this engagement until the tanks are knocked on down. So one tank will go down here. Now Maru is actually just going to find a lot of his army on the right-hand side. We're going to have to see maybe another stim to look to chase that down. And I'm not even sure we need that here as Maru. Yeah, he doesn't want to stim on the high ground, but now with the scan here on the high ground, tank sieging away. Nice blitz from Maru just to make sure that he can really take the massive concave on in. The tank's going to eventually go down, but at what cost here, Rogue? At the cost of his entire armies. Now Maru's going to take a 10 army supply lead. The concave absolutely beats the convex as as Rogue's trying to find his way onto the low ground. These vials are ever so slowly landing, but they're just not doing enough here. Queens filtering on in with their transfuses with their bodies. But their bodies do not going to be enough, as now Maru is going to tie it up. 1-1, folks, here in the grand finals of ASUS ROG 2021. Okay, so that's kind of what you see. Sometimes when you see early pool aggression like that, you see a Zerg player, they're like, yeah, I'm going to get something, and then they don't get enough done. And then it can snowball, right? With that lack of gas and really the lack of roaches early on, Rogue really required a perfectly positioned Zerglings and Queens to make sure that things happened appropriately. As that did not happen, as Hellions were able to find their way into the third base, and a Marine drop was able to wedge itself between the main and the behind the mineral line, excuse me, well, damage started to happen. 7 workers went down in the first push, maybe a little bit more later on. And with all that happening, well, at a certain point, you start to lose your position in the game. At a certain point, you start to lose kind of your momentum. And then, well, you try to go roaches, but when you go roaches, you're looking for a strong mid game. You're looking to get up to 200 supply when the Terran's at 130, or 170 when the Terran's at about 100 supply, right? You're looking to just really hit with that big timing. Or if you're trying to go roaches into quick Hydra Lurker, you're looking to have enough supply lead that you don't really have to worry about the Terran push, right? You just get the concave and you're fine. Because Rogue's initial fight did kind of have a concave. But of course, after that, well, you know, the tanks were firing strong. You couldn't really get on top of them. And that is one of the dangers of Blackburn, by the way. There's some really strong, like 2 or 3 tank pushes that a Terran can find themselves in outside of the main, outside of that 4th base, outside of the mineral lines there. And well, that's the position that Maru wedged himself into. And with just some fantastic engagement, some really nice concaves that he was able to set up for himself, well, he did end up winning that game. So here on the shortest map in the pool, it is not going to be pool first. Not, again, we compare this matchup to Serral, where Maru clean 3-0. Now, of course, you know, there's not that extra reason to get a spawning pool or a spawning pool first as if it was in the south position. If Rogue gets spawned there, because of course there's the weird worker bug with a couple mineral patches that you kind of want to put a spawning pool just to prevent the mining from happening. But in any case, we're going to see Maru doing the same thing, going reactor into command center opener. It's not going to be 2-1-1, right? He did lose game number 1. He's like, okay, well, you know, I guess I can only win this three times in a row with this build. I assume Rogue saw me play against Serral, so okay. Instead, he's going to go for this one-on-one. And we're going to have to see just how aggressive he looks to get. And I love what we see here from Maru. It doesn't look like it's going to bear fruit. But one of the most annoying things that Terran can do in the early game is send these couple Marines out, 2-3 Marines, whatever you get, and try to intercept the Overlord. Because if you're able to do that, that is an almost immediate supply block here. Because again, the Zerg player is, you're going to get your 30 Overlord, you're going to get your 3rd. But after that, I mean, you're really not trying to build Overlords for a time, so you can pump out Queens and Lings and drones and all that fun stuff that you want to make sure that A, your economy is where it needs to be, and B, your creep spread and your map control and everything else is going there. So yeah, the Marines, they're just going to find an Overlord in the middle of the map, and this one should not escape, I don't think. So that's going to be a supply block there for Rogue, and I mean, he's going to be okay, right? He's going to be able to build his 3rd base in like 15 seconds, 10 seconds, and that should open up supply just a little bit, but he's going to have to build 2 Overlords instead of 1. I mean, plus drones, all that's going to be annoying, and this pressure here from Maru is just really annoying. It's forcing, again, the Queen's not spread creep. It's forcing extra Lings, maybe. It's forcing extra Overlords because an Overlord went down. Yeah, Maru absolutely finding everything he could be looking for in that game. And by the way, technically, this is the perfect game thus far. He's not lost a single unit. He's kind of sit on the edge of creep. He says, yeah, I'm going to maybe take some damage. That's fine, whatever. It's all about the value. It's all about getting that Overlord, which is always going to be nice. And yeah, now here we go. It should be noted with these Marines earlier on, so we are only it is still 1-1-1. We're not going to see like the TY Hellion 2-1-1 build, which is what I was looking for. But with these Marines early on, this drop pressure is going to be somewhat significant, especially with, what is this, 5 Hellions running across the map here. And it's going to be, oh man, this is so cool from Maru. It's like a 3-pronged bit of pressure. I mean, Hellion Banshee is somewhat normal, maybe 3 Marines with Hellbat timing, that's somewhat standard, less so. But Marines into Hellions into Banshee, I mean, this is just going to be, it's just so many layers of pressure that's absolutely going to catch Rogue off guard as 7 workers go down already. Marines look like they're finding value in the 3rd base as well. 9 workers. Is it going to be 10? No, it's not. But again, these Marines finding value. There's the 10th worker going on down. And Maru, he's just finding so much value in the early game. He did this in game number 2 as well. I mean, granted, that was off of a game that he should have gotten value because Rogue failed to get the value he was looking for. But in this game, 10 workers going down this early. Look at this. Maru, he's on 40 workers. Rogue is at 42. The economy that Rogue has been trying to build and just trying to leapfrog up against the Terran player is not there. And another thing we really need to talk about in this game is the creep spread. And yeah, creep is important every matchup, but specifically here on Beckett, it is a 28 seconds to natural rush distance. However, the map is somewhat playable for the Zerg player if they're able to develop their creep into the middle of the map and make sure their fights happen there. That being said, the Zerg in the run by is going to be a little bit nice, but of course, SCV RNG will keep that one alive. So if Rogue is able to develop his creep into the middle of the map between where the 2 speed zones are, and he's able to make sure that only his fights happen there or on Maru's side of the map, it's somewhat doable. But the moment Maru really starts pushing his way in, he sieges his tanks around the doodads, he starts putting immediate pressure, say one screen, half a screen away from the base, or when your screen's on the base, that's where things start to become a little bit more problematic. The reinforcement time is so fast that it's really hard for the Zerg player to make sure that they have Banelings every time, that they have Zerglings every time. So we're going to have to see whether Rogue is going to be able to develop that. As a couple of Cloak Banshees will find their way on in, and I don't believe there are any... Okay, Spores are actually just popping down. Nice timing here from Rogue. But still, the Banshees, 81 top workers, so another 4 workers will go down. Grand total of 14 there. And that really should be the extent of value they'll find here at this base. Because all the queens are there, and, you know, there's detection, all that fun stuff. Now, interestingly enough, we do see Maru taking the pocket there. And I only say that's interesting because Rogue is taking the 12 o'clock fourth base. Ideally on this map, if you're a Terran player, you're just going to expand pretty much towards wherever the Zerg player is expanding into, because it's just so gosh darn close that you can really easily defend yourself both ways. I mean, granted, the pocket there's a little bit easier to defend from run-bys, a little bit easier to set a nice turtled position if you need it. But I mean, look at the position Maru's in. He's, what, killed 14 workers. His army supply is massively ahead. And again, this is kind of why I would have preferred to see the third base in the north position, because, well, his rally would just defend these Zergling run-bys just a little bit more. But now, again, because Maru is just trying to find as much value as he can right now, this run-by will get damaged. 5 workers do go down, a couple of Marines as well, but now Maru's just going to stim on in. And what really does Rogue have? He has not a single Baneling on the map. Drones are going to get pulled to try to defend this. Queens are doing what they can. Lings pop out to their doom, to their death here. Queens are starting to go down. And that's just going to be it. GG. Maru, looking dominant in this game number 3, is going to find himself up 2-1. So, Maru has won the last 2 games, really in similar styles. I mean, the games did open similarly. We saw pool first and get in game 2 for Rogue. We didn't in game number 3, but at the end of the day, the result was very similar. Maru, he goes across the map with his early aggression, with this reactor first, with these Marines that he gets, and with the 1-1-1. He finds value with his Marines, and he finds values with his Hellions, with a Liberator he got in game 2. He didn't get one in game 3. But he gets 10 to 14 workers, and then it just snowballs from there. He has too much economy early on. Rogue has to spend too much money developing his economy instead of developing his tech, and then, well, the game ends. Now, granted, that game ended a lot sooner in game number 2 than it did in game number 1. But, or game number 3 than it did game number 2, but still, similar ideas. And hold on to your horses, folks. This is very different here from Rogue in this game number 3. It's gas pool, so he is gonna look to get aggressive here in this game. Most likely a roach timing, like 19 roach, run 3 roaches across the map, turn them into Ravagers, and just try to delay the natural, knock down the supply depots. If he can get worker damage, that's always gonna be rather nice. But regardless, just trying to find some value like that. So we're going to have to see whether Maru is going to be in a good position to hold this. He has gone reactor first the first 2 games, but in this game, on this bigger map, where he maybe has to be a little bit more worried about scouting, or more worried about getting across the map quick enough to make sure he gets the scout, is a better way to say that. Well, he will open Reapers into this game, which, you know, theoretically, that's going to be somewhat good here for Rogue, but no, he went gas pool, and he's not doing much with it. We're not going to see the roaches that I expected. So, like, the big benefit, if we can call it a benefit, but the big difference with Rogue's build compared to the previous ones is he's going to have speed right around 3 minutes instead of 3:30, which does mean that Maru can theoretically get ambushed by the... And this is interesting. The 4 Zerglings out on the map here. So speed's going to be done in, well, right around that 3-minute mark, right about 15-20 seconds. And I guess what Rogue's plan here is he's going to look to dive on into that natural, which, by the way, will complete. So he's more going to look, more look for harassment, for worker kills, things like that, as the Reaper runs across the map, as speed is done. But it's only 4 lings, and the Reaper is not really moving. Oh, wait. Reaper patrolling. Rogue's going to find it. Maru's going to find this as well. Lings should get on top of this Reaper, but it's only 4 lings, so this round's not going to be all that easy. Yeah, and there we go. The Reaper is now dead. Oh, the wall's open, though, so 1 SCV will go down immediately. And interestingly enough, he's not going to go into the high ground. You kind of would think he would want to, right? Just get a scout off, be annoying, dance around there for a little bit, but no. Does not. My Zerglings are too important. Look, I got an SCV. I got damage on this Reaper, which means that any sort of move out's going to be a little bit delayed. And I can run home. I can still use these defensively against the Hellions later on. So it's an efficiency play. It's effectively, it's a +1 worker delta here, or I guess +2 worker delta here for Rogue in the exchange. And behind this, of course, he's also going to say that, yeah, you know what? I've taken a lot of damage early. So, Overlord speed is the next best thing. You can get Overlords into the main base just consistently. You can make sure you know exactly what the Terran is doing. And that means that if you see a weird drop, anything like that, well, you're going to be, A, able to get your Overlords in position better, and B, you know, make sure that you see what's happening in general just a little bit better. So the Overlord's going to find his way on in. He's going to say, hey, you know what? There is no Banshee. I see something being built. The lack of reactor says it's probably a Liberator, and okay. That's all I got to know. Now, I'm almost a little bit surprised here that we're not seeing, that we haven't seen mech from Maru yet, which might be, you know, confusing. You're like, oh, Bayo, why would you talk about Maru playing mech? I mean, he is the king of bio. He's just so fast. His multitasking is just so insane. Doesn't that play into bio? And absolutely it does. But I would bring your all mind back to DreamHack Masters season final, season 1, Maru versus Raynor, where, yeah, Raynor eventually won, but we saw Maru win with mech. And it was like 2 of the 3 times he tried it, or 3 out of 4 times he tried it, and one of those games where he was just incredibly successful was on Romanticide, because again, with the free 3 bases, the easy to take 4 bases, mech can be incredibly impactful into this game. Now, we're not going to see it. Stim is underway. We have additional barracks, all that fun stuff, but we do maybe have a little bit of room here for some sort of Hellbat play. 8 Hellions, but now Maru's not going to go for that. He's just going to have the higher Hellion count that you often get with Hellions with Banshees with Liberators, because it just allows you to have more control on the map. Allows you to force your opponent to move around a little bit more, and then maybe you can find some damage. Anyway, Maru has, certainly for maybe not getting much damage yet, he's done a great job of curtailing creep spread just a little bit, as the Queens will knock down 2 of these Hellions immediately, and the drones are going to be pulled off the 3rd base, and well, that's a lot of dead Zerglings looking for this round, but at the end of the day, the Hellions will go down. 4 workers do die, but at the end of the day, oh no, I'm sorry, that's what it is. Yeah, this is Maru's. He's finding his damage once again here. 7 workers will go down as the landed Viking gets damage done on these drones. Now, normally you're like, okay, well, you know, it's against SCVs, it's against probes. It's not all that unexpected, but drones are not mechanical units, folks. They don't suffer from the bonus damage to aliens. So this was just Maru forcing too much multitasking from Rogue, and Rogue, he's like, yeah, I got 2 of my 3 bases defended, but what about the 3rd? Oh, that's the one that Maru was punishing. So we do see Rogue here in this game number 4. He will go Spire Tech once again. That was the game that was the tech he won the game with for very similar reasons, right? He was able to actually get tempo onto Maru's side of the map and not just kind of sit here and defend and hope his multitasking is up to the task of an unfettered, an unchained Maru. Now, that being said, of course, the upgrade timing is going to be a little bit worse for Rogue in this game than it was in game number 1, where, I mean, 1-1's it's going to be right around halfway done by the time the Evo Chamber is finished. So Maru, I think he had like a 15-second window when he had superior upgrades in that game number 1. And this game is going to be a good deal longer. Once again, Zerglings, they're going to look around, but not a lot is available to them. SCVs are going to get pulled offline, but with these this rally on in, it's not going to be all that much. And there we go. The Lings will go down, and I think a single SCV died. Now, the big deal, of course, it is 7 minutes in this game, and Baneling speed is very far from completion. I mean, yes, we do have Spire, so, I mean, Baneling speed was started after the Spire, and that does mean this base is going to get killed, not even canceled here. And the actually, the Widowmine's doing a great job on the defensive as well. Yeah, 5 workers go down, but that's fine. And Maru, actually, ooh, this is starting to get a little bit dicey here. He's going to have 1-1 done before 1-1 even gets started here for Rogue. And yeah, the Zergling run-bys were finding some sort of value, but not a lot. Not actually, as I say that, the rally's finding its way onto the high ground because Maru has his wall closed on, which means these Zerglings maybe can find a little bit more. 8 workers do go down. But now Baneling speed is close to completion. 1-1's underway, and we're going to see the 12 mutas on the field, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult for Maru to really find that value he's looking for. It really is going to make it difficult for him to run out on the map. All right, because every time he runs out, there are going to be 12 Hellions or 12 Mutas in one of his mineral lines, just causing havoc. So Maru, for the moment, he's going to have to be a little bit more circumspect in how he's approaching this game and how he's approaching his aggression, even as he does have a pretty nice economic position, even as he does have a massive upgrade lead, even if he has a very nice tempo lead. These Mutas are going to look to slow that tempo lead down. So the Muta's now going to dive on into the natural, as we do have a Widowmine drop going to try to find its way on into, it looks like the natural here, as we've run by on the left-hand side. And again, 1-1 versus 0-0 means that Maru's not really afraid of this, but he can't... Oh, Widowmines? No, okay, Rogue will be on top of that. That means he can't really afford to go... Oh, that's not going to get anything, actually. Hey, there we go. Banelings go down. Means he can't really afford to play kind of as multitasking heavy as he would like, because, again... the splits are difficult, or he can't get as aggressive as he would like, because the splits are difficult when you're dealing with Mutatech, when you're dealing with run-bys, all that fun stuff. So your 2-3 Heli or your 2 or 3 medevac drops, they're a little bit harder to make effective here in this game, again, just because the Mutas are on the field, because Rogue has been unlocked a little bit. He's actually able to get active on the map and start harassing Maru, just not have it be the other way around. And we can see that because Maru is not really snowballing in supply. He's down 2 army supply. He's roughly equivalent on workers, which is fine, but his army supply is not really snowballing all that much. So Rogue's in a pretty good spot. And what is this? What does Rogue turn this into, right? He's 1-1 is just about done. He does have his 4th and 5th bases done now. He's on up to 82 workers. Probably going to stay around there. He may go up to 90 if it depends on how heavy he wants to get on upgrades, how heavily he wants to develop his tech. What I do love, by the way, is he's getting actual upgrades for his Mutas. And there are 2 different ways that you can try to play Muta styles in this game. One is, well, okay, it's heavily upgraded ground. You go, you don't really get your upgrades for your Mutas. That's fine. They're more of a transient tech than anything else. The other one is go up to 17 to 20 Mutas, get your +1, get your +2, turn them into an actual fighting force, and make it so that if the Terran is not paying attention, you're just going to rip into production, you're going to rip into missile turrets, you're going to rip into bases, and just making life much more difficult for the Terran player. Now, I love what Maru's doing, just with the random Widowmines all over the map. It's making these run-bys just a little bit less effective. Now the Mutas are going to find their way on in, and 2 missile turrets will go down pretty easily before they're done. Now, Maru has figured out kind of the threat level of these Mutas in this game. Again, it is the heavy commitment to Mutas, not the, I'm going to get 12 Mutas and that's going to be about it for the course of this game. So he is building 2, 3, 4 missile turrets a base. He is getting he's getting Thors. He is getting a lot of Widowmines. All these things that you want to deal with these Mutas. So it's not like the Mutas are certainly not uncountered. Now we're just going to have to see how, really, if Maru can take it late, because Mutaling Bane, it's a very transient tech. It's a very mid-game focused tech. If you can get into 3-3, as Maru's going to get, looks like he's not going to have 3-3 versus 1-1, but it will be 3-3 versus 2-2. If you can get into 3-3, you can get into 4 bases, get into a lot of Marauders, get Marauder Thor maybe, get into Ghosts, just, again, for the bonus damage to light units. You can do a pretty good job for yourself. But also, we are starting to see Rogue build his bank. We are starting to see him be really active on the map here. His creep spread pretty much owns everything he wants. The Mutas, they will find their way out in. These missile turrets are pretty much just free real estate for Rogue at this point, as we will see the Marauders get target fired on down as well. This is not going to be repair on that. Now, again, Thors are on the field. They don't have any attack upgrades yet. They're just armor upgrades, which of course will keep the Widowmines just a little bit safer. But again, the lack of attack upgrades does mean these Thors, they won't kill the Mutas quite as fast. And that just, again, gives Mutas license to fly around just a little bit more. How many Thors do we have? We're on 1. Ideal number is 3, folks. 3 Thor shots. Of course, they do one-shot Mutas, and it just makes it so much more difficult for the Mutas to play. But Maru has decided in this game that he's less afraid of the Mutas than he is of the Lingbane on the ground. So it's just going to be a lot of Widowmines, which of course can deal with the Mutas in the air as well. A lot of Widowmines, and then like 1 Thor just to dissuade Rogue from doing anything too crazy. So now we're going to have Lings running on a nice friendly fire on top of those medevacs. Will just make this fight a little bit more easy for Rogue as he's looking to roll on in. Lings in front of the Banes. The Mutas, they're just looking to target fire down all of these Widowmines. The splits here from Maru are going to be damn fine indeed. So this push is not going to kill him. But at the very least, it will find its way on into a mineral line. A couple workers will go down. But Maru, of course, in the meantime, he's getting pressure on Rogue's 5th base. It's just actually just going to go on down because the concave is nice. There are not enough Banelings here. And you know what? For all the damage that Maru got, or all the damage that Maru took, I should say, he absolutely gave it back in spades. Killing a base like that is just going to be incredibly annoying here for Rogue. But again, It's not the worst thing in the world as he's expanding in actually 3 other positions here, as now the mutas are going to look to target to fire down the medevacs. Thor's just going to be left behind, left at home, left to die. And now here's the timing that, well, Rogue should be afraid of. If there's a timing in this game where he's not all that happy, it's the one that we're going to have for the next minute or so. It's 3-3 versus 2-2. This is the timing where so many Zergs have lost their lives over the years. Again, strictly because 3-3 versus 2-2. Marine, Marauder, Medevac, Mine is going to trade incredibly well indeed. But you can make up for it by just building a lot of Widow or a lot of Banelings and try to make something happen. That and just never taking the fight. And that seems to really be what Rogue is looking for in this game. Every time Maru moves out on the field, we have Lings into the 3rd base. We have Lings or Mutas into natural in the main. And again, it is just Rogue saying, yeah, I don't think I can take this fight. Again, 3-3 versus 2-2 is terrifying. But what I can do is I can make it so you're going to take terrible, terrible damage if you ever have the temerity to move out on the map. So Fireworkers go down. A decent amount of tech has gone down. And Maru, he will be forced back. So Rogue will be able to keep his 5th base. What is this? I don't even know. His 7th base alive? Sure. Again, strictly by putting this pressure out on the map, forcing Maru to stay back home, forcing Maru to rotate just to make sure that he does not die to the Muta pressure that Rogue has been putting on. Muta and Ling pressure. But now, well, 3-3 is about halfway done. We will see Ultra Cav or Ultralisk on the way. Chitinous Plating halfway done as well. So now, all that Maru's got to wait for, that Rogue's got to wait for is really just another 30-45 seconds. When all of his upgrades are done, he's going to have a really strong fighting force. And you know what? His bank is starting to grow just a little bit. His economy is in a fantastic spot, sitting at 91 workers. Although that Widowmine shot's going to do a great job here, knocking down a lot of these Banelings that are looking to defend this base. Now, of course, the Banelings, not only do they go and they force the Terran player to, well, split to not die. When that split happens, that means these Marines are not firing, which means Lings are going to be able to get on top of the Thors, on top of the Marauders, and kill them off rather easily. So 29 workers have died. Yes, that was a cost-ineffective trade with all those Banelings, but it does buy Rogue time. Buys Rogue time. It buys him, well, it actually just buys him 3-3. His Kindness Plating is done. 3-3 is done in just about 15 seconds. There we go. There's the timer. And now we're all even on tech. I guess technically you want, maybe you want Anabolic Synthesis, but in general, I mean, at this point, Rogue's going to be very happy with how this game is going. Yeah, Maru does have 5 bases, by the way. So even as he's only really actually half the workers compared to his opponent, his economy is extremely good. He has mules. I mean, it's not there right now because Rogue's mining almost 4,000 minerals a minute. But in general, his economy is exactly where it wants to be. And when you get a Terran low, when you get a player like Maru low, one of the reasons he is so scary in this late game is because he's totally okay with letting his worker count get rather 45, 50 workers once he has enough command centers. So maybe he's not there yet as he does rebuild. Once you get like 4 or 5 orbitals, you drop mules, you only need the workers for gas, and you just build this 160 supply army that is so hard for the Zerg to fight. This is where Maru really starts to become absolutely terrifying. It's what he's so gosh darn good at. It's where he does win a lot of his games as he's putting pressure on 2 bases at the same time here, and Rogue says, no, that can't happen here. So the Lings, the Banes, the Ultras are going to look to dive on in. Muta's, of course, getting on top of these Liberators before the Ultras look to join the fray. But I mean, well, it's only Marauder Thor at this point. Marines are going to look to rally on in, but it means these Ultras are dead. It's only the Mutas in the sky. That is a scary thing. And we talked about this. We talked about how oversupplied Terrans, especially Maru, can really be ever so scary, and that's exactly what happened. So 1 base will go down. The rally here from Maru continuing across the map as a 2nd base is going to go down, as well as Rogue has been reset back to 6 bases, which is not nearly as impressive as it was a couple minutes ago when he was actually mining from kind of his core bases. He's not really doing that anymore, so 6 bases is effectively, I don't know, 4.5 at this point. 5 bases, 5.5 bases, something like that. Main base is certainly mined out. Natural is getting there. So realistically, Maru's pretty happy with where he is, and Mutas are going to find these medevacs. You got to be careful there, Maru. You don't lose your medevacs here. They're going to all unload everything. But Maru, at this point, he's trying to max out. All right, at this point, he's trying to develop this 140 army supply Terran that has 3-3, that has all these Marauders and Thors and all this fun stuff that just makes life so difficult for the Zerg player. Now, I want to point out something that Rogue's doing, and we haven't... Well, actually, yeah, we see it on the screen right now. He's not going for Burrowed Banes. That's a kind of an all or nothing strat. You kind of maybe want the Banelings with the army at this point, unless you're really paying attention to things. And Maru, of course, he's scanning all over the place. Anyways, he's just burrowing Zerglings all over the place, and this provides him kind of another level of vision that maybe Maru isn't looking to remove. Because yeah, his creep spread is halfway across the map. That's fantastic. But we know Maru, he's going to step on creep, he's going to scan, he's going to look to remove that whenever he's getting aggressive. However, he's not really going to be scanning off creep nearly as much, so these burrowed lings just provide a really good idea of where exactly the Terran army is, and this just allows Rogue to react a little bit better, to make sure that he's in a good spot, to make sure that he can take those good trades. Because, yeah, the vision radius of a burrowed ling is not all that much, but it's something, and it does allow you to try to figure out just how big the army is, as those are going to be some fantastic Baneling connections rolling on in. But I don't think this base is going... Actually, no, the Banelings will get on top of it, and the Ultras as well, so the base will go down here for Maru. And yeah, it's going to be at the cost to Rogue of 2 Ultras and a lot of Banes, but Maru, he's only on 4 bases. That's a little bit scary here. That being said, I mean, again, it's a 40 army supply lead. Another base from Rogue is going to go on down as the game is just falling into scrappy hell here. Rogue's taking bases down. Maru's taking bases down, but he's actually not going to get this base. Lings are going to be on time. And hey, you know what? 6-3 Lings, they're a scary thing, especially when the game gets as scrappy as it is. And on top of that, Rogue, he has enough gas, he has enough bank to develop his +3 flyer attack. And at this point, I mean, the mutas can almost take a fight straight up. As long as they're not too many Marines, they can take the fight straight up. They're actually going to trade rather well as long as the micro is on point. So we're going to have to see whether Rogue looks to make that happen here. As Maru, again, he's kind of milking a 20 army supply lead, but it's not going to be quite there. And actually now Rogue's going to reset the army supply as this Ultra is just getting big Kaiser Blade swipes off. And now, yeah, there's a bunch of Marines, so the Lings are not going to trade as much anymore. And 20 workers have gone down because, again, Maru, he's never doing anything at any given time. He's got that drop that we saw go on into the natural. Knocks off 20 workers, and that 90 worker, that 96 worker economy that Rogue had earlier on, well, it's not really there anymore. And it's not like he has that big of a bank to redevelop it. There we go. Another 3 workers do go down. But of course, I'm talking about, well, okay, well, does he have a 60, 70, 80, 90 worker economy? No. Does he have a bank to really redevelop it? Not really. But here's the thing. He is able to keep his army supply roughly equivalent to what the Terran is. In fact, now he's got a 30 army supply lead. And as long as he prevents Maru from taking this 5th base, at least for the next little bit of time, he's going to be in a fantastic spot. As there we go. These Widow Mines will go on down. Overlord Overseer will morph in time. And now we're seeing just Maru just consistently about 30 supply down. His economy is really not where it needs to be. I mean, okay, we see this now. He's mining about 4,000 resources a minute because he just dropped a Mule Hammer. But in general, his economy is not quite developed. It's not quite where it needs to be. And this means that he's just not able to build that 140 army supply lead that we're looking for that really allows him to be so dominant in the late game. We're not seeing him able to develop his ghost count, his liberator count, just really getting that late game anti-ultra, anti-muta type of army that he's looking for. It's really stuck on kind of this mid-game, oh yeah, I'm going to have Marauders and Marines and Mines and Thors is going to be great. Yeah, but up to a certain point, you really want those ghosts. You really want those liberators to just keep the Ultras from your army. So we're going to have to see whether Maru can continue to do the job that he's doing and keep knocking these bases down. Now, this is as good a time as any because he's roughly maxed out at this point. He's getting pretty close, but now, well, Rogue's going to be able to get on top of things. Bailey's looking for the connections, but it's the friendly fire of those Widow Mines that have had a tremendous engagement. So now the mutas are going to be able to knock down this command center again. Plus the mutas, they do a tremendous job. And Lings, Ultras, Corruptors, they're going to just try to filter on in, knock this army down. Any trade is a good trade at this point because a base has died. And again, Maru, he's going to lose 7 workers, but the big deal is losing that base, losing that command center, because at this point, bases are starting to mine on out. Core 3 of Maru, I mean, he's been dropping mules on them for the majority of this game. There's not a lot of money in these bases anymore, so, oh man, Rogue on top of things. Widow Mine will really not get all that much. I mean, yeah, okay, this Widow Mine is going to burrow, it's going to get some Lings, but okay, there, no, it's not even. 6-3 Zerglings, my friends. Adrenal Glands, Cracklings, they do a great job. Now, if we look at the economy here, yeah, Maru can drop a Mule Hammer, but in general, he's sitting around, you know, 1,000 resources a minute, roughly half of what his Zerg opponent is, because even as the worker numbers are similar, Maru, realistically, he's mining off of 1 base. He's got a couple mineral patches. What is this? We got 2 mineral patches with barely anything in it in the 3rd, 1 in the natural. Yeah, 2 in the 4th base. Yeah, he's just really effectively on, I don't know, 1.3 base economy at this point. And that means that, so again, if Rogue can break this left-hand base, he's going to win the game. Or even if he just starts trading rather well, because he has, I mean, yeah, he would like his dual 6 o'clock bases, but he's fine. He's got all his right side bases. It's not a big deal. Now, it is interesting that we have seen Maru start to develop his really heavy Thor presence in this late game. He's going up to 4 Thors. Now, 3 Thors, fine. That's what you're looking for. It makes these, it's so hard for these mutas to fight. But you get up to 4, that's kind of unnecessary. It does mean that you can lose a Thor and still make it hard for the mutas to fight. But anyway. Now we're going to see Rogue set on up to just try to break the economy of Maru once and for all. But this is a scary defensive position here. SCVs have even been pulled trying to buffer, but Rogue's not going to look to go through that. Banelings are not going to connect. And again, any trade is a good trade so long as Rogue does not lose everything here. And he's not going to lose everything. 17 workers go down. Ultras, they die, sure, but it does not matter because they're trading. Gosh darn well indeed. 40 workers, or excuse me, 40 army supply down here for Maru. He's down below 100 army supply for the first time in this game, for the first time in quite a while in this series. But that's going to be it as 44 workers do go down. The last mining base of Maru has been broken as the meters will knock down so many command centers, so it's not even like Maru can redevelop something. He's down to 67 supply, and yeah, maybe he's got one last fight in him, but that's a fight of folly. That's a fight of desperation. It's not the fight that he's truly looking for. It's not a fight that can truly win him this game. As now Ultra's more on the field. We should see more mutas here, or excuse me, more banelings. How many do we actually? No banelings on the field right now, but they're getting morphed in. Rogue taking every base that he could want. And I mean, Maru is even mining at this point. He's got mules, but he's going to run out pretty quickly here. Now Maru's going to look to target fire this base down, but this is his entire army. Link's just getting on top of it. Friendly fire from those Widow Mines are going to do God's work as the Thor goes down. Muta's fighting from the top. And GG Rogue, he's going to take it, and he's going to put himself back into this series. It's all tied up 2-2, folks. Okay. Game number 5. Rogue's got 2. Maru has 2. We saw Maru dominate in maps 2 and 3. Rogue said, hold my beer. We're going to take it late game number 4 on Romanticide in a fantastic late game where he just kind of seized his economic control in that later mid game and just never allowed Maru to take his 4th base, to take his 5th base. And eventually, yeah, maybe Maru got an extra mining base. Maybe he eventually got his 5th. Maybe he eventually got his 4th. But by the time he got those bases, it wasn't for a booming economy. It was for, you know, 1 base economy, 2 base economy, something like that. That makes it just really difficult for Maru to really sustain that production, really even sit on the 45 worker economy and just build 155 supply of Terran units, which also is a thing. But we should start talking about this game instead of last one, because we got some aggression coming on in from Rogue in this game number 5. I said, this looks like a roach tech. We saw gas in the pool in the last game. Well, this actually looks like a roach tech, right? We saw double gas. We saw Roachborn going on down. So we're going to see that old 19 drone roach attack. It's not really an all-in anymore, but it certainly does need to get value. I'd classify an all-in as something that has to kill the opponent, and pressure is just something that has to get damage done. So 19 drone roach pressure here coming on in from Rogue, where he's going to build 3 roaches, 4 roaches, build 3 ravagers, and just try to bile stuff down, make life as annoying for Maru as possible, maybe get some SCVs as they go down and into repair, things like that. Now the question though is how quickly Maru should scout this pretty quickly. He's going to find his way on in the natural. It's like, wait a minute, there's no natural here. That's a bit of a problem. That's a little bit spooky. So already Maru is like, okay, this can only be so many things. I know what's up. So we're probably going to see a bunker here on the high ground. At the very least, we should see the wall get started. As a couple of Zerglings, so their goal here is just to cancel this command center. But with the Marine on the low ground already, SCV should be able to make something happen for the time being. So 2 Ravagers running across the map, and I'm sorry, I said this was just going to be the pressure build, but no, Rogue is absolutely going all in here in this game number 5. He's building more and more and more roaches. He's not even thinking about getting a command center. So yeah, Maru with that return scout, he's like, okay, I know what's up. At this point, I know exactly what's happening. I'm going to cancel my low ground command center. I'm going to build a bunker. I'm going to make sure that I have a wall. That being said, it's not a wall. He does need to build he needs to build some sort of a blocker here on the high ground, whether it's it needs to be something. So this bunker will not complete. So the biles are going to go on down, and more importantly, the Ravagers will knock down that SCV. But already we have Cyclone production on the way, and Cyclone production is what really shuts this down, because you just get a Cyclone, you just kind of juggle your lock-ons, and you are totally fine. That being said, it looks like we're only going to get 1 Cyclone here as the tech lab will get target fired on down. That makes life a little bit dicier with the 4 Ravagers here on the field. Life is not getting easy here for Maru, and in fact, if Rogue can knock down this factory before anything happens, I mean, that's where things get rather difficult, because we're going to have 5 Ravagers in the field. The Cyclone is going to pop out, and then the factory is going to die, so that's going to be rather nice. Actually, factory is going to get lifted. Are we going to have a repair? We should. There we go. Okay, factory will survive here. And again, pretty much every lock-on should be a dead Ravager, theoretically. But now, Rogue, of course, here with these 5 Ravagers behind the mineral line, they're causing some problems here, folks. They're knocked down 9 workers, and, well, they're actually doing a really good job of zoning these Cyclones out. 2 Ravagers surviving at, like, 1 HP. I'm probably actually closer to 5. But anyways, now we're going to see, yeah, there we go. The engagement's going to happen here. The Rains, the Cyclones are going to knock down every single one of these Ravagers on the high ground, and the rest of them are not getting a lot done. The Lings, the Ravagers trying to find their way on in. Well, they're not going to find value. And that's, yeah, that's just going to be not enough damage for Maru whatsoever, or for Rogue whatsoever. Maru, he's going to take game number 5, and he's going to put himself on match point. In fact, he's going to put himself on tournament point. And here we are. This one is perhaps for all the marbles. Maru sitting on tournament points, as Rogue is going to look for some way to come back into this series. I mean, I say some way to come back into this series. That's unfair. He's looked fantastic in the games that he has won. It just feels like every time that he tries to do something in the early game, Maru slaps it aside and says, no, kid, please, don't do it. Don't even try. And then he either gets his counter damage, or in that last game where it was an all-in, Rogue didn't get enough damage done, and, well, we go from there. Or, you know, Maru gets his early game damage done, and same thing happens. So hopefully we're going to see Maru, hopefully we're going to see Rogue play a little bit more of a mid-game focused idea. Those are the games that he has won. He's found advantages in the mid-game. One game went late. One game didn't go as late, but anyways, it doesn't matter. We saw that advantage get built in the mid game, where Rogue just seems to be a little bit stronger than Maru. Just again, from what we've seen, if it goes even. But again, for 3 games now, we have not seen it go evenly into the mid game. 2 times because Rogue went aggressive, and 1 time because Maru went aggressive. Now, one thing we should be talking about this game is Maru's making a little bit of a ballsy play. Now, granted, he is up 3-2. He has a map to give, but he went CC first on the low ground against a player that has gone early pool multiple times in this series. But, you know, it's a great mind game, right? Because, A, Rogue has done it enough that you figure he's probably not going to do it again. And B, well, his back's against the wall. You don't go early pool. You don't go kind of a coin flippy all in when you're down 3-2. That's something when you're maybe tied at 2-2, when you're up a map, whatever. Not a game like this. So we're going to see a really cool build here from Maru in this game number 6. He's going CC first into double barracks. And this is just going to be some really strong economic aggression coming in from Maru in this game, right? You get the double barracks. Do we have double gas? You know what? There's a build Special does where he gets double Reaper out of this. It's not CC first, but we do have the opportunity for that. But no, it's just getting Marines out. And we're going to see that kind of a 2-on-1 timing. As okay, reactors being made. Yeah, looks like it's just going to be, for the most part, just kind of a 2-on-1 timing, but off of a CC first. So there's going to be even more economic ability behind it for our Terran player. And folks, you want to talk about greed. It's not 3CC. Like, it's not like 3CC before Varix, which I don't think I've ever seen. But this is an insanely greedy build here from Maru. He's like, yep, I'm going to build my command center. I'm going to build 1 Marine out of my 2 barracks that I make. And then I'm going to get add-ons on both of them. So I can get stim underway, so I can build 3 Marines at a time. And good luck, folks. This is some incredible aggro greed you see from Maru. I love it. And now we're just going to have to see whether Rogue can cut the corners he needs, whether Rogue can scout this out in time to make sure that he's going to be okay. Because again, you know, one of the problems with the 2-on-1 is the Zerg player can just kind of do what they want, right? They drone up pretty hard. They don't have to get a lot of tech. They just have to make sure that they have 20, 30 Zerglings out, enough queens by that 5-minute mark. But if you went CC first, well, the time is going to be a little bit messed on up. So I don't think this version of a 2-on-1 is going to hit quite as fast, as the factory is going to complete right around 3:45, which means the starport is going to probably be done at, what, 4:30-ish, which means the medevacs are going to be done closer to 5. So this timing-wise is going to be a little bit closer to the TY Hellion 2-on-1 than it is the kind of standard 2-on-1. But on the flip side, CC first, the economy is a whole lot better developed. than it would be normally. Actually, I'm pretty sure Rogue does not know anything about this. Yeah, Rogue has not found his way on into the main base at all of Maru. So, I mean, yeah, he's doing a decent job of cutting corners, but here we go. 8 more Lings underway. He's got 10. This is not what you want to do against 2-1-1. Again, you're trying to just hold off drone as long as possible until the push comes out. Then you're like, okay, enough Lings. It's fine. But Rogue is doing the standard build, where you go and you get Lings when right around 4 minutes, when speed is done, 3:34 minutes, when speed finishes. You get them to deal with the Hellions because Hellions are going to start marauding around then. But there are no Hellions on this map yet. But now here there are because, folks, this is a 2-1-1 with a Hellbat timing, and this is going to be dirty. What a build to break! What a build to win a tournament on coming on in from Maru, because Rogue's just not prepared. He's just absolutely not prepared. His Baneling Nest is not done as these Marines are running across the map, and you need to have Banelings morphing pretty much as the Hellbats. Well, you need to have Banelings done pretty much as the Hellbats are morphing. And Rogue has no idea this is happening. He's not gotten a single scout into his opponent's main base. And by the way, folks, 3rd CC is underway as well. I love this build. It's so delightfully aggro greedy here from Maru, but now we're going to see the Hellions on in. Hellbats are morphing, and there are no Banelings on the production tab. There's a Baneling Nest done, but that doesn't matter here because now the Banelings are looking to run on in with 2 meta. Actually, that's sorry, this is even more than that. This is what, 20 Marines? This is I think this is just a dead 3rd base. So yeah, Banelings are morphing now. Marines are going to try to take the engagement, but they're just going to get target fired on down. Of course, Hellbats, they're just buffering for the Marines. Now we're going to see Banelings get target fired on down. Banelings just buffering out all of these Zerglings. The target fire is fantastic. The Banelings get nothing done here. And now the Biocan Sim on top of the Queens. 1 goes down, 2 goes down, 3 goes down. They're all going down, folks. The army of Rogue is dead. And GG Maru, he's going to take ASUS ROG 2021 in fine fashion with a really fantastic build here in game number 6. What a build, what a series from the 4th race from Maru himself. Now, of course, reminder, folks, once again, if you like what we do, like, comment, subscribe, do all that. And if you like what I do, of course, follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Beowulf. I do NA and Korea EPT Cups and a bunch of other stuff. So make sure to do that. And now, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time. Stay safe out there.